Hello everybody, and welcome to your full moon video for the full moon of the 11th of April 2017. The moon will be at its exactitude of fullness at about 7:08 a.m. UK time. If you're one of those people who likes to know what time the moon is going to be full in your particular time zone, please go to a space online in order to look that up. They're readily available these days. Let's talk a little bit today about right and wrong. And in addition to that, let's talk about how when we want to be able to take decisive action, of course, we want to feel confident as to what is right and wrong. But the thing is right and wrong is not always as easy as black and white. Quite often it's many shades of gray, and no matter how much you try to get your gray matter around those shades of gray, you just can't seem to make it all out. Why is that? Well, it's because the gray matter alone is not going to sort out right and wrong. That has to get sorted here. But what happens when right here is confused because you've got heartburn because of that spicy food you ate last night? No, I'm only kidding. What happens when that space in your heart is confused and you don't know what's right? Maybe you used to think you knew what was right, but present sets of circumstances are kind of bringing you to the realization of, the more that I think I know, then I don't think I know, right? And then you just kind of end up in a muddle, and you're not clear here, and you're not clear here, and then you're dealing with a circumstance that on many levels is requiring you to take action and be decisive, and you're feeling like that action that you need to take needs to happen soon, and you can't just keep churning over in your head and in your heart what is actually the right action, or at least it feels like that to you. And so what exactly do you do in situations like that? That is the question of the moment. This particular full moon cycle is taking place in Chitra Nakshatra. And we need to understand Chitra Nakshatra with a little more depth, okay? Just to kind of give you a broad understanding of Chitra Nakshatra. Chitra Nakshatra is always going to want to lead the individual towards doing those things which feel ethically sound, or those things that we feel that our heart is behind. But quite often we end up in circumstances where our heart is leading us where we're thinking that we want to go, only we end up getting there and we find out, gee, this isn't really where I want to be. And how does that help you? Well, actually, it can help you, as odd as it might seem. But what you first have to perhaps recognize and realize is that in that particular situation, you're dealing with a completely new set of circumstances that was not as you initially thought or hoped that it was going to be. But in that one moment, at the very least, you're learning that your heart may actually be in a different place than it was before. Maybe I can go a little bit deeper with that thought. Sometimes we think that we want something. Sometimes we go, you know what, my heart's guiding me in this direction, only we get to that particular place. And there's, I'm just kind of giving you for example, there's some sadness attached to it, or what we thought was going to be good for everybody involved ends up turning out to not be so good for everybody involved, right? And at least in that moment, we're learning that, gee, what I thought was right in one moment may not be right in the next moment, right? And so you begin to learn that right and wrong, much like I said at the beginning, is not something as simple as black and white. Now, certainly we all have those sets of ethics that are the guiding force behind our particular life, right? Some things never change, some things stay static, but then there are quite a lot of things that evolve and change over the course of our lifetime. And most likely you're probably finding yourself in one of those circumstances where things are needing to evolve and where things are needing to grow. Let's have an astrological understanding of this. This full moon is taking place in Chitra Nakshatra, and the moon is, as it approaches its fullness, is going to be conjuncting a retrograde Jupiter, which is also in Chitra Nakshatra. Only this retrograde Jupiter is a little bit confused, and Jupiter is that planet that likes to give us the spiritual understanding of something, only it's feeling a little bit confused, right? Mars, which is the supporting planet behind Chitra Nakshatra, in using this particular system, itself, it's in Kritika Nakshatra. And Kritika Nakshatra is supported by the sun, which is in a very strong position in the sky, and equally itself is in Revati Nakshatra, in a little bit of a holding pattern. Well, sometimes it's good to have a holding pattern because you get a little bit of time to figure something out. And with Mars in Kritika Nakshatra, there's a process of purification that's coming along, albeit at a rate that doesn't really feel like it's fast enough for you. And as that process of purification is happening, something that you previously thought was true, you may be seeing under a completely different light. Now, in the background of all of this, you've got the power of Saturn, which is in itself forming an aspect to key particular planets in this particular astrological equation. One of those particular planets being Jupiter, and another of those planets being Ketu. So why is Ketu important in this situation? Well, this whole situation is also taking place with a Mercury that's retrograding through Ashwini Nakshatra, which is causing you to reflect over what's actually going to solve your problem. What's actually correct? What's the thing that's going to help you the most? And this is perhaps the force that's making you feel a sudden sense of urgency that's behind your actions, right? And as this is taking place, as Ashwini Nakshatra is associated with Ketu, you've got Saturn and Ketu having an interaction, right? And part of what's going on with that particular influence is this passionate feeling that you've got to solve a problem. And so you keep pushing up the against the resistance that's there, thinking that that's the only right and appropriate way to act. The only thing is, nothing's budging, right? Nothing's budging as you might like for it to budge. And the deeper you dig and the harder you push, the more confusing your circumstance becomes, right? But you've got this sense of urgency. Something needs to happen, and something needs to happen now. Or at least you think, right? You do have a little bit of time. At least give yourself, at the very least, and even a little bit past that, right? Give yourself at least the day of the full moon, at least the 11th. Actually, after that shift happens, the moon is going to shift forward into Swati Nakshatra, and astrological influences on that day, on the following day, are likely going to come together to make you desire to take some sort of self-directed action. But this self-directed action is going to be a little more well-informed if you sit the energy through, especially during the full moon cycle. So, to kind of encapsulate what I'm putting forward here, you're not in an easy situation. What was right in one moment may no longer be appropriate. What used to work may no longer work. What you thought that you wanted may not be necessarily what you need. And there's this other aspect of Chitra Nakshatra that when it does something, it really wants to do it right. Okay, it doesn't want to, just take some paint and sprinkle it, on a palette, so to speak, and there and go, here's my masterpiece. Instead, it wants to do a Van Gogh painting, right? It wants to do something really amazing, a work of art, right? And right now, you're wanting to do something in a big way, not in a small way, right? But sometimes those little small steps are what matters. And you're not going to get there in a day. You're not going to get there in a day. It's going to take a little bit of time. And if you get there in a day, the place that you're getting to is going to be a small step on your journey that will eventually lead you to your ultimate destination. But it's going to take time. So use this full moon cycle, at the very least the day of the full moon, to come to a deeper understanding of what your heart really wants and what it really needs. Okay, I should mention I do offer a vast range of astrological services that are available through my website, which is AuthenticAstrology.com. If you click on the link, which you should see in the video, it will redirect you to my astrological services page where you can schedule the service of your choice. That's going to do it for this look at the full moon of the 11th of April, 2017. Until next time, please do take the very best care of yourself. Bye now.